Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is a great time to be a Star Wars fan. The team at Jazzwares and Micro Galaxy Squadron sent over our first look at Series 3. This is the Grand Army of the Republic, the Separatist Nightmare. Man, I am just so excited about this. I'm very happy we're getting more Clone Wars stuff, and we didn't even have to wait that long. But I have a bunch of information to give you about this, but check this out. It comes with 5 clone troopers and a speeder bike. But I gotta say, thank you Jazzwares and Micro Galaxy Squadron for giving me the opportunity to give you the first look at the Grand Army of the Republic Battle Pack. This is number 69 in our Micro Galaxy Squadron. This is gonna be a Target exclusive in-store only. This is 1 out of 4 gunships that will be available in Target stores. As we move to the back of the packaging, you will see the rest of the gunships that are released in this set of 4. And those ships are Plo's Bros, the Crumb Bomber, Separatist Nightmare, which is the ship we have, and the Coruscant Guard gunship. So these are going to retail for $39.99, which honestly I think is pretty affordable considering that the regular gunship was $29.99 and it came with 2 figures, whereas this one has 5 figures and the speeder bike for just an extra $10. The rest of the back of the packaging shows the traditional illustrations of what this Republic gunship can do. Now, if you look at the top right hand corner, it shows the speeder bike can be removed from its stand, and it's pointing that it can be stored in the cargo hold, so I'm excited to check that out. As we move to the left side of the packaging, it shows more features that this ship is capable of. So this is our real first look at Series 3, and they are swinging for the fences. As a Star Wars fan, I couldn't be any happier. Here is the barcode to help you find this in store. Screenshot this and it will help you track it down. There's a lot to go over with this ship. I don't even know where to start. Actually, let me show you this. The speeder bike does fit in the cargo hold. So this is the Separatist Nightmare. It gets that name because of the illustrations on the side of the ship, which are amazing. So we have some Orabesh right here, and that actually spells out Separatist Nightmare. Included with that, we have a clone trooper with like a skull type of look, which is printed on both sides of the ship. These 4 ships are expected to hit Target stores really soon actually. It is slated for early January. This gunship was primarily a troop transport and even transported Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi. This ship unfortunately did not survive the Clone Wars. It was shot down by some flat cannons. Mundi and a few clone troopers managed to survive the wreckage and pull themselves out from the crash site. Along with the illustrations on the side of the ship, it has a dark green and like a mossy green type of look, which I think is awesome. Green happens to be my favorite color. The underside of the wings also has some of that dark green paint, and you can see it also continues to the top of the ship. So these greens aren't the only new color that's been applied to this ship. So if I lift up this missile hatch right here, it has gold inlays. So the tips of the rockets are gold and also the bases are gold as well. So that's pretty snazzy. So honestly, I think this is the first time the Separatist Nightmare has ever been produced. I really couldn't find anything that showed like previous ships, whether it was from like Hot Wheels or Hasbro, or even like the little game pieces from like the board games. I couldn't find really anything on this. So that is a big reason why I respect Micro Galaxy Squadron so much, because we're getting ships that we have never previously had before. So I've already reviewed the Republic gunship on my channel, and this is basically identical to the one that I've already reviewed, but I'm still gonna go over all the details. So we'll start with the sides of the ship. So these little turret balls right here, these will actually articulate 135 degrees. And then they can also open up and you can place a clone trooper in there. While we're here, we will place a clone trooper inside. So there is like a little clip at the base of the chair, which will pretty much kind of lock him into place, and he fits in there pretty nice and snug. And then once he's in, you can just close up the hatch and he's ready to go. We'll give you the close-up shot of him sitting inside of there, and he just looks so good. We might as well do the same thing to the other side. We'll place another clone trooper in there, and what we're gonna end up doing is I'm gonna fully load up this gunship so you can see how beastly this thing is. Now that we have both clone troopers loaded and ready to go, we're gonna move to the front of the ship. So we have some turrets here that are basically on a ball joint within the ship, and you can maneuver it 360 degrees, so that is a great amount of articulation there. Then at the top of the ship, we have the cockpit. So it is on a hinge joint and it opens up just like so, and we can place our 2 pilots in there. So we have our first pilot in there that was included, but thankfully I bought a few gunships and I have a second pilot. So now we are stacked. Let's put our attention to the sides of the ship. So these panels actually open up. So you can see there is a little lip right here. You can pull this down and it will pop on open, and that will allow this panel to go backwards and forwards. Once these panels are opened up, it reveals those clips where we can place our figures. Here is a fully stacked ship. So I have 2 clones in their designated positions holding themselves up, and then I have 2 extra clones sitting there, which I replaced in the bubbles. I put 2 extra pilots in those instead. And then as we move to the other side, we have more clones there too. So this is ideally a fully stacked ship, and that is so cool looking. Here, I'll give you another angle of all these clones inside. So again, bravo to the Jazzwares team for listening and just stepping up and giving us more clones. And I think we can close these panels up, having all the clones in there. Even those extra ones that I have sitting down, all you have to do is just kind of push them back a little bit, and you can keep this fully stacked ship. Man, that looks so cool. We'll take a look at the wings now. So these little ball turrets have articulation as well. So these will spin 360 degrees. And that goes for the same on the opposite side as well. As we make our way to the back of the ship, we have 2 more areas that have articulation. So we have this rear turret, which is basically identical to the front ones. It's on a ball joint, and essentially it can move 360 degrees. Then this ramp from the cargo hold will open up, and that will allow us to place a speeder bike on this like little flat peg, which is pretty much identical to that clear stand it comes with. So I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. So there's plenty of headroom up there, so we can probably have a clone riding the speeder bike and then place it on there. Placing the speeder inside the cargo hold is pretty self-explanatory. So there's a little slot right here that will match up with this little peg. You just place it on top, close it up, and you got some precious cargo. So we'll do the exact same thing, placing a clone trooper on this little notch, seeing if we have enough headroom. So I got him on there nice and easy, gonna lift up, and yeah, it is totally enough room. That's going to lead us into the final thing that this ship can do. So you can disassemble this pretty extensively. So you can take off both wings, this top hatch that has the missiles underneath it. So we'll take off the other wing, and then these panels can also come off as well. So you can take this little lip, and then you can just kind of pull it off from there. And then same thing on the opposite side. So if you wanted to create a scene that this ship was shot down and there's just pieces everywhere, you can totally do that. So I think that's awesome. It just adds extra playability to this ship. We'll do some measurements. So bottom to top, we are looking at about just under 3 inches. At the wingspan, we are about 8.5 inches long. Lengthwise, I took one of the wings off to make it a little bit easier to see. So I'm gonna go from tip of the turret to tip of the turret. So I'm thinking we're at about 8.5 inches long. And then if we're just doing the body front to back, we are just under 7 inches. Let's move our attention to the speeder. So this has been released so far in the Series 2 blind boxes. It comes with a clone trooper. This honestly has a great sculpt with some awesome paint applications, and they've really improved the quality of the paint applications from Series 1 now into Series 2 and 3. It also comes with this transparent stand, which will allow you to display the bike a few different ways. So you can display it this way, or you can take this off and there's a little peg right here and you can attach the bike this way. And I found this useful if I'm gonna create a scene and I've painted things up a little bit. I use like foam bricks or foam blocks, and you can basically dig this into the foam piece and that will give the appearance that it is floating. So for example, here is a piece of styrofoam, something that I would use to create a diorama or some sort of display. So imagine that this was painted like forest green or like a Geonosis dirt color. So what I would do is I would just take this stand and I would dig it into the styrofoam until it had the entire appearance that it was floating above the ground, which is super useful if you're going to use this for toy photography or even just displaying it in your collection. So here's another representation of what I'm talking about and something I've been working on behind the scenes. So I would get a piece of foam. I typically go to Michael's because they have the thicker, sturdier ones that aren't as likely to break, but when I can, I try to recycle the ones that I get from like packages or boxes that come in the mail, but they typically are thinner and more susceptible to breaking, so if I have to, I go to Michael's and just spend a few extra dollars. But back to our clone speeder. It can fit one, no problem, and it is very well designed. Lengthwise, I would say it is measuring about 2 1/4. Let's take a look at our previously released Republic gunships standing next to the Separatist Nightmare. Honestly, the real differences are going to be the paint applications. The sculpting and everything else to the ship is going to be identical. Here's a better look at them from the front, from the top, the back, and the underside. And you're probably wondering, can this other Republic gunship hold a speeder in the cargo hold? And yes, absolutely it can. Okay, that's going to wrap up my review and unboxing of the Grand Army of the Republic, the Separatist Nightmare. This is a Series 3 of Micro Galaxy Squadron. So the things that we know, it is a $39.99 price point, and it is a Target exclusive in-store only. This is 1 out of 4 gunships we will be tracking down. I think there's a lot of value for this price point. It is the same sculpting and mold that we've received from Series 2, so the biggest difference is going to be the paint applications throughout the entire ship, this one catering towards the Separatist Nightmare, which I think is amazing because this is just the start of all the different types of gunships we could be getting in the future. And this is our first real look at a battle pack. This one comes with 5 clone troopers, which is super important because those are key army building figures. So instead of us buying blind box after blind box, they've created a set that helps cut that down by including all those figures. Again, they want to keep this line more vehicle based, so the smartest way to add more figures is to do something like this, which goes back to them listening to what we've been saying since Series 1. We want battle packs, we want packs that have a lot of figures in there, and they were able to do this by adding them in with a clone gunship. And the price is still justifiable, so essentially you have a gunship with 2 figures that retails at $29.99. They also included a speeder bike and 3 additional figures to that. So if you take this speeder bike and a 1 figure, that's basically a blind box price, so about $5.99, $6.99. That brings our total to about $36, $37, leaving us with 2 extra figures to make up that difference to ring in at $39.99. So at the end of the day, there is a lot of value to these gunships, and they're going to be highly sought after because, to my knowledge, I don't remember ever seeing this type of gunship made in figure form ever. And that's going to bring a lot of eyes in from different collectors to these gunships. Since they've never been made before, it's definitely a collector's dream. And as we know, all clone stuff, whether it's gunships, figures, or whatever, always hold their value and increase over time. Exclusives can be very hit and miss, but I think Target is a good choice to hold these for as an exclusive. Make sure you screenshot that barcode to help you track it down in store. I want to thank the team again at Jazzwares and Micro Galaxy Squadron for sending this set over and allowing me to debut it for you on the channel. These are slated to hit early January, so the hunt is about to begin. Right now is a great time to be a Star Wars fan, but thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to find me on Instagram where I do toy photography, toy videos, toy hunts, toy deals, and all things toy related. Link in the description below. I post heavily on my stories when there's new drops, new toy finds, and toy hunts as well. And if you like this video and you want to see more of it, be sure to like and subscribe. It is free, and we will see y'all in the next video.